everybody, and welcome to the ESO headquarters at PAX West 2016. Hi, everybody in the audience, and hello, everybody joining us on Twitch. My name is Jessica Folsom, and I'm one of the community managers for the Elder Scrolls Online. We are kicking things off today with the Inside One Tamriel panel. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have a lot of great programming over the next 4 days. If you haven't seen our schedule, you can check it out on elderscrollsonline.com, or we're sharing it on social, on Instagram and Twitter throughout the event. So here I have with me Dungeon Lead Mike Finnegan, Creative Director Rich Lambert, and Lead Systems Designer, Philip Draven. And they are going to walk you through the Inside One Tamriel panel. So you guys want to take it off?
Absolutely. Thanks,
Not
Jess.
take it off, but...
Hey-oh! Starting with a bang. Oh, boy.
All right. Take it away.
Awesome. You're right. Hey, everybody. So today, I've got a quick agenda here that I want to talk about, or the three of us are going to talk about. First, I want to give, a quick State of the Union kind of thing. Then move into One Tamriel, and then talk a little bit about some of the additional things that are coming with Update 12. So first off, the game is doing great. And really, it's because of you. Our community is growing and growing and growing. At E3, we announced we had 7 million people who played the game. That number is higher today. And that is because of people like you being our evangelists. Posting on the forums, talking to your friends, saying how great the game is. And we really appreciate that. So I wanted to take a second to, thank you all for that. I think it's really important. You guys are the reason why, we do the things we do. So thank you. We just released the Japanese version. That is doing extremely well. That community is growing. It's really exciting, especially in PvP and Cyrodiil running around. Seeing, a full 24-hour crush of people has been awesome. And in addition, we also have the Gold Edition coming out, and the Guilds and Glory DLC. And that's basically all of the DLC, the first 4, Imperial City, Orsinium, Thieves Guild, and Dark Brotherhood, together in a bundle. So that'll be coming out soon as well. So now is really, the best time to get into ESO. I think everybody is here to know a little bit about One Tamriel and what that is. Why is it so interesting? Why are we so excited about it? And I think the big thing that everybody needs to understand with this is really a way to get the entire game socially connected. In the game right now, we have kind of this arbitrary level gate where you can't go to certain zones because you don't reach this certain level. We're removing that with One Tamriel. In addition, we're also removing the alliance barrier. So now with One Tamriel, your alliance is really important for the PvP. This is your team that you're playing for. But in the overland spaces, in the non-PvP spaces, you can play with anybody at any time. And that's exciting. Our guilds support cross-alliance. You could only really play with those people if you were in a dungeon or in a trial. Now you can play with them anywhere in the world, and it's going to make a huge, huge difference. This is the next big evolution for ESO. You can play the game any way you want to now. Leveling is still important. We're going to battle level you, just like we do with all of our DLC. But you can play the game any way you want. You can go anywhere you want. You can do it in any order you want. And that is the essence of Elder Scrolls. It's going to change the way you socialize with your friends. You don't have to worry about creating an alternate character and only being able to play with that one buddy that only gets to play an hour or 2 a week. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You can just play. Doesn't matter what level, doesn't matter what alliance. You just go in, you play the game, and you're going to enjoy it. So the way we've kind of taken the world, we've gone back. It's been a huge undertaking. Phil and Mike are going to talk a little bit more detail about the things we have had to do. But the general philosophy that we've incorporated into, revisualizing the zones is very much following the Orsinium kind of DLC, where you go to the zone, there's solo things to do, there's group things to do, public dungeons, are a big thing for us as well. We want to make sure there is something for everybody in these zones. And that's really important. We've had to do a ton of work to go back and rework some of the older zones to make sure that stuff was there. In addition, and I've kind of made this no secret, Craglorn has kind of been a personal, pet project for me. It didn't hit the note that we wanted to in the original launch of it. And for one, Tamriel, we've gone back and revisited it to make it more of a zone that you can go to as a solo player and find other players to group with on some of the harder content. So what we've done is we've gone through and we've restructured the main story. We call it the critical path story, and that is soloable. You can run through, you can solo it, you can experience the story. All of those hard-gated group puzzles that required 4 people to play, we ripped those out and re-scripted them so you could do it solo. That being said, there is still group content in the zone, and there's a significant amount of group content in the zone. We've tuned the Overland base pop and a lot of the bigger dungeons like the Ronnie Zaws and the Shada's Tier. Those are more tuned towards a duo. You and a buddy, you and a partner go through and kind of explore. You can solo them, but they're going to be hard. And this is kind of the idea, the original intent of this zone was this place that you could go to as a solo player and find other people to group with, and not necessarily I have to have a group to go to the zone. I'm really excited about this. I love Craglorn. Not a lot of people got to see it, so this is kind of the second coming of this zone, and I think people are going to be really excited to play it. I think I've talked enough. I talked a little bit more than I wanted to. I'm going to actually pass it over to Mike, and he's going to talk some more about dungeons and what we've done to them.
Hi. So I'm Mike Finnegan. I'm the dungeon lead for Elder Scrolls. So for this, what we wanted to do was, for dungeons in particular, we wanted to open it up and create the same experience that some people have had in veteran dungeons, only expand that out to have more. So what we did was we took a look at the existing dungeons that we had and we separated out the story from the difficulty. So if anybody's played Fungal Grotto or Elden Hollow, you knew that if you went into normal, it was one story, and if you went into veteran, it was a different story. So for these dungeons now, you're going to have a Fungal Grotto 1 and a Fungal Grotto 2, and you're going to have a normal and a veteran mode for each one of those. Not only that, the dungeons that didn't have a veteran mode, Volenfell, Tempest Island, Blessed Crucible, they now have a veteran mode for those dungeons, which will allow you to go in there as a group, and right before the final boss, in every one of those dungeons, there's a way to activate a difficult mode so that you can challenge yourselves on the final boss of those things. There's a couple other changes we've done there. First of all, and I don't think this is on the note too, but we've added checkpoints in every single dungeon and trial, so that as you go through a dungeon, if you get there, some of the longer dungeons like Imperial City Prison, if you join a group that's already killed 2 bosses, then you would have a really long run. So what we have now is we have a checkpoint, and after you kill 1 boss, there's a checkpoint that appears at the beginning of the dungeon, and you can instantly teleport to where that last boss died. So that if you join a group that's already in progress, in a dungeon, even a trial, and you can instantly teleport to the last boss that was killed and join the group a lot easier. It also allows people in trials particularly to go back to the entrance and repair their gear and then hit the portal and go directly back to where they were. Because we added the new veteran modes, we also added 16 new monster masks to the game. So, and we ran the gamut with that. So you're going to see all kinds of new monster masks that are available. In order to facilitate the new monster mask, we also had to update the Undaunted pledges. And this is where a lot of what your guys' feedback has influenced some of these things. So when you guys talked about, maybe some of the harder dungeons like White Gold Tower or Imperial City Prison or Ruins Mazatoon or Cradle of Shadows, the new ones, and you said when those pledges came up for a day, it was really tough to get a group together to do the veteran pledges for those. So what we've done was we've taken the pledges and separated those out into, now there's 3 pledge givers, and they each give a pledge a day. So you still have Madge, you still have Galarian, and now there's going to be a new pledge giver named Ugalarg who's going to give pledges specifically for the DLC dungeons. So White Gold Tower, Imperial City Prison, Ruins of Mazatoon, and Cradle of Shadows. Not to mention, all pledges are now going to be able, a lot like the DLC pledges, all pledges are going to be able to be done in normal, veteran, or veteran hard mode. And with that, we changed the key structure. So now, instead of a bronze, silver, and gold key, there is now just an undaunted key. And each key gives you a guaranteed pull, 100% chance to get a shoulder. There's now 3 chests. Each chest is tied to a pledge giver. So you have Madge's chest, you have Galarian's chest, and you have Ugalarg's chest. So Madge's chest will only give shoulders for the dungeons that she gives pledges for. So I think it's the first 6. Yeah, it's in the patch notes. You can read which ones they give. And there's actually a little note that'll tell you, in the Undaunted Enclave, there's a little note that'll tell you what guy gives what. So there's Madge's chest, there's Galarian's chest, and then there's Ugalarg's chest. So you can, it doesn't matter where you get the keys, you can get and decide which ones you want to get a chance for that shoulder and just use all your keys on that. I think the final thing with the pledges is if you do it in normal veteran or veteran hard, you get a different amount of keys. So if you do it in normal, you get a key. If you do it in veteran, you get 1 key, but veteran is also the only place you can get masks. So that's your other advantage to doing a veteran dungeon. And then if you do veteran hard mode, you get 2 keys. So that is the potential to get 6 keys a day, which you can then use on all the chests or the same chester you want, and get 6 shoulder pieces per day. So that was a ton of work for our team. So just a bit. So we're anxious to see what people how people like it. That's it for me.
How about Phil now?
Yeah, Phil.
Hey. Hey everyone, I'm Philip Draven. I'm the lead systems designer over at ESO. And Mike started talking about itemization specific to dungeons, but we also had to update our itemization across the entire game. So the combat team started looking at item sets first and foremost, as those are one of the driving forms of itemization, and kind of re-envisioned exactly how they were being distributed. When we get away from item sets are associated with a specific level or a specific zone, we kind of had to come up with a new paradigm. So what they decided to do was have item sets associated with each piece of content now that it's all independent of level. So every zone will have specific item sets associated with it, every dungeon, every trial, pretty much every form of content will have item sets associated with it. All the drops are automatically scaled to your level. All the drops work all the way up and down the chain, so you won't have dead zones where you can't get item sets at certain levels or at max level. We also tied this in with our quest reward system, because a lot of the time our quest rewards were a little lackluster, and
You can say sucks.
they kind of sucked.
It's okay. That's why we changed it, right?
Underwhelming.
So now, so now they'll be significantly better. Most of them will now have item sets or be higher quality or both, which is pretty great. The veteran mode dungeons will now guarantee a Monster Mask reward, so you don't end up getting the bad roll of nothing and then roll on the thing that you want. And as Mike mentioned, you can get multiple pledges per day, which is pretty great. But fundamentally, the bottom line is that once you learn which item sets are associated with which areas, you can go out of your way to focus on that. So you want to build out a set, you go to that zone, and you can get that from a number of different sources throughout the zone. So you could kill pledge bosses, or you can get it from mob drops, or from doing the quests, or anything else.
And I think the big thing there too is we wanted to make sure that, or at least our goal for itemization was that you were chasing the perfect trait on the perfect piece of armor or weapon, and not just, I hope this thing drops. You know, we have a lot of traits, we have a lot of different armor types. The reward needs to be there, right? When you do a veteran dungeon, it's hard. Well, for some people. I'm looking at Atropos over there that is, hardcore raider, but it's hard to do those things. So we want to make sure we reward you for doing that. And the goal is, like I said, you're trying to get that perfect trait and the perfect armor, weight, or weapon. And that's a really big philosophy change for our itemization overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that itemization goes across the game, across the board. And in order to do that, I don't know how much we go into this exactly, but in order to flesh out the entire world with this item set paradigm, we needed to add new item sets. And so there's going to be a number of new item sets to make sure that
How many?
everything is 30 new item
30?
sets.
Wow!
Yes. So some item sets.
Sorry.
So some item
Say
sets.
that again. 30?
30 new item sets. So they're
Plus
all
the 16 new monster matches.
Plus
Plus the
16 new
monster
monster match.
So some of the item sets that already existed are going to get shuffled around a little bit.
Yes.
Some of them may have their names adjusted a little bit. Some of them are being reorganized, and then the additional 30 is being mixed in to kind of cover this new approach to itemization. So there won't be a zone that only has one item set inexplicably. Now every zone will have at least the 3,
Except for the starter islands.
except for the starter islands. Correct.
They all drop training, just so everybody knows. If you want training gear, go to the starter islands.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then,
We did that in Dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even beyond the base itemization, we wanted to do some more exciting things across the game, some more dynamic things that could pop up for a limited amount of time, and that leads us into holiday events. And so we're starting some of our first few holiday events. We had our anniversary event previously. We're doing our Imperial City anniversary event right now, but we want to go further. We want to take it farther. So coming up in October, we have the Witches Festival, which is themed, kind of Halloween-y themed, but tied in lore-wise with Tamriel, and everything kind of makes sense there. We're introducing a number of new rewards associated with all of that, so there might be some Witches Festival themed recipes for people to learn that will do
Pumpkin
interesting.
spice.
I don't know if there's a pumpkin spice
maybe not,
latte
maybe
as
not,
part of that,
maybe
but there is a lot of new stuff introduced there, some new collectibles, things like that, and then that will feed into the New Life Festival, which will happen at the end of the year, and have more of those types of thematic recipes and rewards and quests and things like that get introduced.
Peppermint spice.
I'll see what we can do.
Sorry.
So they're really fun. They're not supposed to be super challenging. They'll allow you to invest more time if you want to get more rewards out of it. There's these specific rewards that you can only get during this period of time that you can barter and trade and stockpile and then sell later to people that missed it. Things like that, of course.
We want to introduce more opportunities for role playing as well, and so that's what some of these cater to, is focus a little bit more on the lore and the story and less on the itemization. That being said, there are some really cool things.
There are, and the people will probably want to collect them all. And
Yep.
there's achievements associated with everything as well. If you want to keep your achievement bars all full.
That's the thing you didn't touch on. Well, maybe we'll touch on that later, the number of new achievements we have.
Yeah.
That's
there's a lot
massive
of
as
those.
well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So pass it back to Rich.
Back to me? Okay. I said I was going to stop talking, but I'm not actually. So one of the things, bits of feedback that we've gotten, recently, that we announced crown crates and what they are. And a lot of people are like, why are you doing this? And so I wanted to kind of go through a little bit on the philosophy, but more on how they're going to actually work in game. You'll be able to see them on PTS, I think, for the third update we do in PTS, third or fourth.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to actually experience them and play them, but I wanted to kind of walk through the thought process here. So, why crown crates? Why do we want to do this? Our goal with these was to find a way to kind of bring back some of the older things that we've retired from the store. And we wanted to do it in a way that didn't feel like we were punishing players that were participating early. In addition, we wanted to make sure that we stayed with the kind of do no harm philosophy that we have in our crown store, which is convenience and cosmetic only, nothing that really increases player power. And so that's kind of the philosophy, right, is do those, but we wanted to make sure that, we're constantly adding new things to the store, refresh things in the store so that when you go back, there's something new. And so, how do these work? And the goal with these is they will never, ever, ever drop in game. They are purely a crown store feature, right? So you don't have to worry about you get a box from a monster loot and you have to go buy something in the store to open it. It's part of the crown store. You go to the crown store, you purchase this thing. When you open it, you get to talk and deal with Prakriti. who's a character that everybody loves in the game.
He's awesome.
And when you open the crate, there's always going to be something useful in there. At worst, there's going to be some really cool new useful potions or adventuring supplies. Things like experience scrolls, excuse me, and potions and foods and things like that. Poisons. In addition, there's going to be a cosmetic thing in there. And where the fun part comes in, from my point of view, is you get a chance to get some really cool, really new exclusive things. Some old retired limited time offer mounts, the Frostmare, things like that. And there's also some new exclusive mounts that are in these crates. We want this to be an experience that you can, just participate in when you feel like it. It's not a requirement. But if you want to work towards something, you can do that as well. And the way we've incorporated that into the system is if you get a duplicate item in the crate, it's going to automatically get converted to a crown gem. And in the store, you'll be able to spend those crown gems in an exclusive area in there to, work towards the thing you want to do. So if, you get really unlucky and you keep getting the same mount over and over and over, or the same costume over and over and over, that's actually kind of a good thing, because then you can take those converted gems and buy that one thing that you want from the store. So, I think it's important for everybody to get in there and play it and see it before you make a decision. But I think, people, when they start to see it and start to experience what we've done, I think people are going to, enjoy it and like it. The other thing, I got two more things, and I'll be quiet and you guys can ask questions. We're not just doing one Tamriel with Update 12. There's some really big things coming with Update 12. Did I sound that bad? Thanks, Wheeler. I'm going to take a drink because apparently my voice is dying. So that's way better. So weapon ultimates is a big thing that we announced at Gamescom. We are doing them. I think we have a video that we'll show off in a panel later on when we go into more details. But weapon ultimates are in the game, and those are tied directly to the weapon skill lines. Every skill line has one. They have their morphs. And
Pretty good.
Some of them are really, really good.
Pretty good.
But they're going to be unlocked a different way than the way all ultimates are now. And that is, you have to master the skill line before you can actually use the ultimate. So you have to hit level 50 in the skill line. In addition, another big thing, dueling. Wheeler, who's hiding back there, is going to talk a lot about this. It's really cool. It gives you a chance to kind of play with your builds, experiment with PvP in a more controlled environment, which I think is going to be really exciting for a lot of people. So, like I said, we're going to have a lot more on this throughout the rest of PAX. So feel free to stop by and ask us questions.
Yeah, Update 12 touches on...
It touches on everything. It's a massive, massive
Everything.
thing.
Every piece of content in our game.
And I'm really proud of the team. They had to work really hard to get through all of this stuff,
Oh, shut.
especially on the heels of 11. Like, it went 11 and then 12. And so the team had to work really, really hard to get this stuff done. And I hope you all really enjoy it. So thank you, everybody. Ask any questions you have. We've got some time.
Well, almost any question.
I'm fine saying no.
Oh, okay.
So
Jess?
at this point, I'll walk around and take questions. So if you have any questions for the guys about Update 12, One Tamriel, I remember you. Welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah. Are you gonna add impen back to like PvE loot tables, or like at least monster sets?
In pen.
In pen, are we going to add it back to PvE tables?
It's something we've gone back and forth on.
We have discussed.
I don't remember where we left it, but I'll have to go back and talk with Roble. One of the problems we have with Impenetrable as a stat is it's mainly a PvP stat, and the thing that the PvPers always remind us of is they don't want to do PvE to PvP.
Right.
And so, how do we balance that? How do we make sure that they don't feel like they have to do those things in order to enjoy PvP? So that's why it's kind of a touchy subject, but we're going to keep talking about it.
Yeah, we've tried to find some alternate solutions, like the golden vendor that will sell the impenetrable version for AP. And,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Can't grind for it,
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, can I ask another question? Okay, sets that like normally only drop in like blue jewelry, like flanking and stuff. Is there gonna be opportunity to get those in like purple or gold?
To get it to gold?
Purple or gold, I guess.
Probably not gold.
Some sets are available in gold. Some sets are not necessarily available
Yeah.
in gold.
So in the
Like-
patch notes, we have a breakdown of what
'Cause I'm
sets
pretty sure,
drop in
like-
what places.
Like Braha's Curse or whatever, and flanking only dropped in blue, right?
So like if you take a look and it drops in a dungeon or a trial, what I mean is like because we've changed up where things drop and stuff like that. So if you take a look and it drops in a dungeon or a trial or something like that, you will be able to get it in purple or
Okay.
gold. I think.
Awesome.
Trial.
Thank you. All right, Gina, you got some questions from Twitch?
Yeah, I have a question from Twitch chat. Juggling.
As she's
Hold on.
juggling her laptop and a microphone at the same time.
This is from Jamie Aubrey. He was asking if the weapon ultimates take up a skill slot.
They're an ultimate.
They're an ultimate, so they go in your ultimate slot, yeah.
Yep.
They will work exactly like all other ultimates.
a good
Except
question.
really good, but ultimates are really good.
Yeah, they're all pretty
Never
good.
mind.
All right, any questions from the audience? I know you guys have questions. Come
One
on.
up here.
Right up here.
There we go.
I have been told to ask, is the Japanese cat going to be available for people in the West or Europe at any point? Maybe from the Crown Store?
I think
Yes.
so, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know exactly how yet, but I think that's the plan.
We know there's a demand for it.
Yeah. Wow, you guys are letting us off.
More
easy.
questions?
Back there.
Update 12 on Tamriel?
here.
Ah,
Couple.
Oh, you're right next to me.
I have a crafter / PvP or PvE question.
Mm-hmm.
The motifs in Gold Coast. I haven't gotten really that much drop rates. I was wondering if you are going to increase those at all or no.
So every time we add new motifs, we kind of look at the previous ones and see the distribution rate and if we need to update them or make them a little easier. We try to have a pretty good distribution of motifs since we add so many motifs. We generally try to have a couple that are easier to get, a couple that are harder to get. It kind of keeps the market interest up and kind of gives different like tails to each chase. But if we see that one is just enormously difficult to get, that we weren't sort of intending to be that difficult, we'll adjust the rates. We don't have any specific plans for that, but we'll keep looking at it.
No, we got an quarter-hour motif at all.
You have to do the Kvatch Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day.
All right. I got legs last time, but I'll check the rates.
So for the holiday events, there's going to be exclusive motifs, you said, that are going to be along with it. So for the people who
I said
are...
recipes, but there are also motifs.
So if you miss that recipe or motif, will they show up in the Crown Store later?
So I can't speak necessarily to the Crown Store part of it, but the motifs that are going to be dropping in game as part of the event are tradable, and so you can get extra of them and then save them and sell them later to somebody that missed it.
It's
And because they're being built as an event as well, every year it'll just come back and you'll be able to get that stuff.
Yeah, it would
again.
be like a limited time annually.
Yeah, we may add to it later, but you'll most likely have that chance again.
Okay, well, Gina's got another one from Twitch.
Yeah, I got one. Is this on? Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's on.
I got another one from Twitch chat, and this has actually been on the forums a little bit since we published the patch notes today. People are just asking about the bind on pickup for Trials and Dungeons gear. Just wondering what the thinking was behind that. If we would consider making them tradable to other people outside of the group.
So one of the reasons we had to do that was because we needed more sets to kind of spread out through the entire world, and what we did with Maw and the scaled dungeons or the scaled trials was a bit of an experiment to kind of see how that worked and how that worked in the market, and I think it was really cool. But one of the issues that we kind of had was people could get really good sets without having to do the content. And so it's kind of that slippery slope of, if I never experience the content, but I can get all of that gear, why do we have that content? So that was kind of the thought process in the juggling. I don't know that we will go back to the BOE stuff all the time in the dungeons, or all the dungeons, but I think the experiment proved what we wanted it to prove, and we'll look at that in the future.
And I think the first part of that was being able to actually trade gear,
Yes,
BOP
you can
gear
always
to your
trade
group.
gear. Yeah,
So
that's a
then it
big
at
one.
least ensures if you did, in order to get the gear, you actually done the content. So That was part of that too.
Yeah, part of it was also trying to achieve a higher level of consistency with our sourcing. So if you're getting things from Overland, okay, they're tradable, and we'll
Yep.
try to make sure they're always tradable. If you're getting something from a trial, they're bind on pickup, and they'll always be bind on pickup.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got one over here.
I don't know how this would fit into the lore anywhere, but is there a possibility of any like flying mounts?
Flying mounts?
Yes.
I like the way you think.
Like, not up, high, but like the netch, like a baby netch pet,
So-
pet. Like just.
I'm
just off
pretty
the ground?
confident in saying that we
Hover.
won't ever do free floating, free flying, go fly anywhere you want. And a lot of that is just for technical reasons and the way we built the game. We built it for land mounts only.
But
Hovering mounts in general, maybe, but probably not.
Okay. Coming to this question over here.
While Jess is running, I have one question I'll fill in. This came from the forums. They were asking if players will be able to get every set in the game at max level, and if every set will now drop in jewelry and weapon.
Oh boy.
Yes.
That was a loaded one.
How about yes?
Yes and yes.
Yes.
So the only caveat to that is the dungeon set, the willpower, agility, and endurance. Those
Yes.
will still only be in jewelry.
Jewelry and weapons.
Jewelry and weapons, but all the other sets we've added pieces for every slot,
And they all go up to max level.
and they all scale to max level.
Yeah.
So enjoy. That's a lot of theory crafting to play
A
with.
lot of item sets to mix and match.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I'm mostly a sort of casual story, single player.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends that have sort of played with me and then dropped out. And so I'm really excited to hear about One Tamriel and being able to sort of go with them with my main, as you mentioned. And exactly. So some of the stuff you mentioned in Craglorn was like content that was tuned for duos. And so I had some questions about where's my best place to start if I want to just grab any of these people that have dropped off the game and I want to bring them back and say, let's do some content together.
In Craglorn specifically,
in
or
the game in general, just for duo content.
I mean,
Kind of depends on what your interests are. Like if you guys, really like going and delving into delves, for example, like doing kind of duo dungeons,
Nice. Delving into delves.
then you have that option. We go around and hit different dark anchors. There's a number
public
of
dungeons. I mean, if you really want to play in a group and kind of challenge yourselves in a group, Craglorn is probably the best bet.
Questing remains pretty solo, right? Focused. Like that was whenever I tried to duo quest, it was trying to sync up, not knowing whether they had the quest or whether I had the quest.
Right.
That sort of stuff. So
And
that's mostly single.
For those, a lot of those things, even prior to this, but even more so in One Tamriel, we've tried to eliminate any of those weird gates where you would have where you wouldn't see somebody if they were on a particular quest or something like that. We tried to remove a lot of that stuff so that questing, just for that reason, is a lot easier for people to get together and pick up. There's quite a few, to answer your question, there's quite a few places that you can go. It might not be a bad idea to start with someplace new that has an entire starting and ending quest line. So like Orsinium or Craglorn or something like that, where you guys can start at the same, not necessarily the same level, but at the same starting point, and then say, okay, and then move
Yeah,
through.
if you
and
guys
then-
pick any overland zone that neither of you have done, if you
Yeah.
wanted to duo with someone, now that you can go to all three alliances
Yeah.
worth, there's got to be at least one, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just jump in there together and blow through the whole thing.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Gina, any more from Twitch? Oh, got one here.
I got a question regarding Orsinium. I know that there was a big issue with crashing when you went like in certain areas of the city, and I'm just curious if it's safe to go in there.
So we fixed a bunch of those.
Yeah.
I think there's still one left on the console that is more rare, but that's one of our top priorities. Some of those crashes are exceedingly difficult to reproduce in a development environment, and some of them are so rare that you have to trap them in a debugger in order to actually figure out what's going on. So just trying to find those is been a bit of a chore. Some of them only happen under load as well. So, but we are looking at those.
We definitely did a lot of work to isolate and kind of
Yep.
narrow those down and
Clean
get
up
those crashes
performance.
out there and stuff like that. So yeah. Right. Yeah.
Might be
Yeah,
worth
yeah.
another try.
Yeah. Gotcha.
All right, we've got one here.
Hey guys.
Hey.
You mentioned how Craglorn was kind of a forgotten zone for a while, and One Tamriel is a great opportunity to refresh it. I'm wondering about Cold Harbor, and if you have any thoughts about that and how it interacts with One Tamriel.
cold.
Any Cold Harbor specific sets or?
Ah,
So
sorry.
every zone
There will
has
be
three
sets.
unique sets
Yeah.
to it. So yes, there will be a reason to go to Cold Harbor after you've already completed it once. You'll be able to go and get the sets that are dropped there specifically. It's still tied. Entrance to the zone is still tied to the main story, but you can always group up with a buddy who's already there and then social jump to them.
And it's also it got the same treatment that all the other zones did too. So like Orsinium and stuff. So everything is increased and stuff like that.
There's
so
some
it
group
doesn't matter what
bosses that
level
are
you go
pretty tough there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what level you go there. You should be able to find a challenge.
All right, I see some questions here.
For the dungeons with the splitting off normal and veteran
Yes.
being separate from story, does that mean that dungeons that currently only have normal mode, so they only have story 1, are they getting story 2? Or are they
They will have a difficulty mode.
It's the same
So
story.
like
it's just-
Vaults of Madness just has the one story,
Yes.
but now we have 3
Now you have a
ways of doing
difficulty
it.
mode.
Yep.
You have a
Story
normal mode and
difficulty
difficult mode.
are separated.
Are there plans to add onto any of the stories?
Not at the moment.
Not right now,
but it is
never
something
say
that
never.
we never say never, but not at the moment. Yeah.
But that's not to say we aren't working on more dungeons.
We of course are working on
Yeah.
more dungeons.
So
'cause
there's-
I still have a job. So. There you
So
go.
I don't know if you've had a chance to talk with Matt Weathers yet, our concept guy that's
over
over
there.
the corner drawing, but he's actually
Hi,
working on
Matt.
some concept for some of the new dungeons we're working on. So.
Yep. There we go. There we go. It's a cascading effect.
All right, we've got another one here. Sorry, Gina. You're next.
Another crafting question.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be able to craft jewelry anytime soon?
Knew that was coming.
Go ahead, Phil.
It's something we know people want. We want it too. It's not anything that we're working on right at the moment, but we definitely want to do it.
Okay, so this one's from the forums from Stevel asking, will one Tamriel change how writs are being given out and turned in so it'll more suitably fit the any scale or any zone scales?
Hey,
approach?
another Phil question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Writs, crafting writs.
Crafting writs, any changes
Oh,
with
yeah.
those?
So with the crafting writs, you'll be able to pick them up from anywhere. Now that you can go anywhere and do anything, we didn't want you to have to go back to your home alliance to pick them up necessarily. You'll still need to deliver them to whatever associated zone that tier is associated with, but it'll just be easier to get them.
Oh, you have a question?
Sorry, along the same lines as that, does that mean that you'll be able to visit any undaunted enclave to pick up the pledges? Or will you have to go to your...
No, you still have to go to your. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Everybody be okay. It's all right. There's a lot of. Weirdly, there's some factors involved with that, so you will still need to go to your home undaunted one.
Hi again.
Hello.
Along with what Atropos was saying about, kind of forgotten zones, how do you guys feel about Ivea and the Earthforge and how those were planned versus how they're actually, because the rare times that I go there, I don't ever see anyone else there, and it seems like nobody really uses them for what they may have been intended for?
Part of that is convenience, right? The only way you can get there is if you finish the Mages Guild or the Fighters Guild, right? So, people always tend to congregate in areas where there's a large number of guild traders
And the bank.
next to the bank, next to the, Rock Hall, right? Mournhold, those kinds of things. I think they're getting use. We see people creating those item sets and whatnot. But,
Yeah, they play the role for supporting those quests,
yeah.
but they're not
And that was the
necessarily-
intent.
Yeah, they don't. Not everywhere needs to be a dense hub for players.
A dance hub for players.
Dense.
I thought you said dance.
I thought you said dance.
I mean,
hub, too.
anybody,
I was like,
anywhere
what
could
is
be
that?
a dance hub for players. I mean,
Dance hub's confirmed.
I'll do it. This question also came from the forums. How often can players expect gear level cap increases, or will CP 160 stay the gear max?
So
If and when we do them, they will be fairly rare. One of the things that we realize, we play our game too, is, it's painful when you just get all that gear you want. You got your VMA weapons, you got your Dragon Star arena weapons kind of thing, and then suddenly the level cap gets boosted, and you're like, well, darn it. Almost.
Don't cuss.
Don't cuss?
I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
And that having to go through that painful process to reacquire all that gear, it can be painful. So when and if we do it, we will do it at a much slower rate than, say, increasing the champion point cap.
Any more questions from the audience? Yes.
I hope this hasn't been asked already because I came in kind of late. But is there any plans to be able to restyle gear? Like if you get like a set that is like the marksman set, I don't really like how it looks. So like, is there like, could I take that gear to the crafting station, use some materials, and change the style?
I mean, you could dye it. You could wear a costume over it. Like, but no, not really.
No plans in the short term.
You had a question?
This is for PvP.
PvP.
And, yeah. So
Loving it.
So when I'm fighting more than one player,
Uh-huh.
I was hoping like you guys would bring back dynamic ult.
Bring back dynamic ults?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is definitely a request that we get all the time.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we'll ever do that.
Oh, okay. It
There's
was amazing. back
There's
then.
sure, because it was broken. But yeah, we want to make sure that there's a balance. Like the hardcore players really loved it because they could kill lots of players really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And then the person on the other end of it is always dying because of it, and so you have to try and find that balance.
Okay. Thank you.
I got one from Twitch chat from #Reflex. Will nodes in the former lower tier zones still be low level mats, or will they scale to your character's level? You know what? My text is like size 2 here.
Yeah, I understand the question. So harvest nodes.
Oh!
Was that me?
That was Gina. She got too close to the mic or to the speaker.
All right, wake you up. So harvest nodes in one Tamriel will scale the way that they do in the DLC zones. So half the time the nodes will be scaled to your true level, and half the time they'll be scaled to your passive associated with the trade skill. We know that this might make it difficult for players to obtain some lower level materials to craft if they want to craft something for a lower level friend, for example. We're looking at a couple different ways to offset that. One of which is when you complete your writs. When you don't get a survey report, sort of the consolation prize will be getting a good pile of lower tier refined materials. So over time, if you're doing your writs, you can still stockpile those lower tier materials without needing to harvest somewhere else or buy them or something.
Gina's giggling over there.
Oh, Twitch chat was
It's going crazy.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about breaking your ears. Any other questions from the audience? There we go.
With regards to the one Tamriel, is there going to be any changes to how the zones play out with regards to, like, if I'm a DC character, then if I go to, like, the EP zone right off the bat, I might end up fighting some DC characters, right, as far as story goes. So, like, right now, there's a kind of a story mechanic that explains that. I'm trying not to avoid spoilers, but...
Sure.
With
Cadwell, Silver, and Gold.
one Tamriel, is there going to be a story mechanic or something that makes sense of that, or am I just...
It's going to work very similar to the way Silver and Gold did.
Okay.
Right. The idea is you can just kind of go anywhere and do anything you want to do and play it in that order, and then know that you could do things out of order. Okay. It'll be a player choice.
Yeah, here's another one from Twitch. I promise I won't stand by the speaker anymore. Hawk on 7th asking, to what extent did this update address the server performance in Cyrodiil?
In Cyrodiil specifically?
Yes.
So we made some pretty dramatic performance changes in 11. In 12, we have a few more things that we're working on that should go in there that should help. But overall, performance in Cyrodiil on the server side is to a point that we're mostly happy with it. There's still a few things. And we're going to start focusing really heavily on client performance to get the frame rate up on the client side.
Okay, we have one up front here.
With one Tamriel removing the alliance barriers, does that open the door for new zones that have like alliance specific quests? Because right now the alliance main alliance quest storyline ends at the end of those zones, and none of the DLC zones really have any alliance specific stuff. So might we see any zones that are, an Aldarian Dominion specific, quest line in that zone, or for EP or DC?
Maybe, but one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to do the one Tamriel thing is everybody can see the content that we do, and not just a third of the population.
Well, yes, and then if everybody can see this zone because it's one Tamriel, then you're
Right.
not kind of gating it to specifically that alliance. It's just the storyline is that alliance.
Right. And so maybe.
Gina, any from Twitch?
All right, this one was from earlier, from Green Soup Too Hot. Do
Green soup too hot.
Yes. Do monster masks drop from the normal dungeons, or is it only veteran and the Cyrodiil vendor?
Only veteran.
And the Cyrodiil vendor.
And the Cyrodiil vendor. But only veteran.
But every time.
But every time, 100%.
Okay. Any more questions from the audience?
Got off easy.
Not seeing.
Yeah, right.
That wasn't too bad.
I mean, I got more.
Okay.
From
That's good.
Twitch? Yep.
We still have
This
some
is-
time, right?
This is from the forums,
Yes, quarter
from
of.
Salington, asking if there's any plans for quality of life updates for guilds.
Yes.
Okay. Next.
Nailed it.
Can we talk more about those? So we have a huge list of things that we want to work on. I think I've said this before, but things like Guild Finder and fixing or readjusting how we do the permissions in the bank and things like that, they're all on our list of things to do. We just have about 1,000 other things that we have to do as well. But it's something we're actively working on.
Yeah, it's a high priority. We just needed
Yep.
to get one Tamriel into a good place, and it was such a massive overhaul that it didn't allow us to kind of tackle some of those.
Okay, so there's one guy who has been asking this entire time for deer mounts.
For
Do you-
deer?
Deer.
He's
Do you-
my brethren.
Deer mounts?
Yes.
Do you think that will ever happen?
Deer mounts.
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
I want those
A bit
too.
specific.
I don't think we have a ban on deer
Specifically
mounts
only
or
deer.
anything.
Only deer.
How do you ride a deer? They're pretty
Heyo.
small, aren't they? No, not that way.
Yeah,
John Deere tractor,
Tractor.
there you go.
If
Tractor
those of
mounts
you
confirmed.
here think of anything while she's looking for Twitch questions, feel free to raise your hand. Okay.
Really, really minor, but for the weapon ultimates, are
Yeah.
they, do they have to be when you're wielding that weapon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have
And,
to have, it has to be on the bar that has the weapons that you're equipped. Yep.
And you will see why when you see them.
Want to take one or two more?
So this one isn't really update specific, but it's a question that we've seen a lot, so I'm just going to throw it in there just for fun.
Probably gonna be your.
Gora Shatan, they had asked on the forums why the kiosk bids keep coinciding with server maintenance, and if we have any sort of statement on that.
We're looking at it.
All these short answers, come on.
Well,
I'm
I mean,
Yeah.
trying to buy
we
myself.
don't have any changes right now, but yeah, it's something.
yeah,
to
it's
look
it's
at.
something that Phil and I are in very, very hot debates over right now.
Hot.
You know, we want to make sure that everybody has access to these. You know, part of the issue is, you know, a lot of the large guilds want to control the traders, you know, and they can with their bids. But the other side of that is, you know, they don't really enjoy having to wait for the server to come up to see if they got their thing and then have to scramble around. So we want to try and find a happy medium.
Okay. Let's take one more.
Were you
I don't
telling
see
me
any.
that?
Yeah, I don't see any but questions from the audience. So is there one more on Twitch we could take? And if not, we can.
I know a lot of people want to know more about the monster masks. They are actually available on the templates on PTS.
Yep.
Yes.
All of them.
Yes.
But I don't know if you guys just want to touch on those at all. Just
Their masks.
On what they do?
There's a shoulder.
Sure.
Stop it.
And a
they go on
mask.
your face.
I mean,
they follow the same kind of paradigm as all the other ones, where they're either thematic to the dungeon or to the boss. So there's some really cool ones. There's a really cool Dreg mask. There's a really cool
the
Atronach
Blackheart
one.
Haven one is
The Blackheart Haven one is
fantastic.
badass. So
yeah. I mean, they look cool, and we tried to kind of take a look at the way monster masks worked before, and then just added to that and stuff like that. So they should be themed towards a particular
Interesting,
play style
unique
and stuff.
behavior. And
Yeah, interesting
visuals.
behavior, themed towards different the play styles and stuff like that.
Okay, so I think that wraps it up. So thank you everybody for joining us both here and on Twitch. Our next panel is going to be Tailored in Tamriel with lead figure artist Tatiana Malenko. It's going to be really cool.
Yes.
It talks about the parallels between creating costumes in-game and out, and she's got some real cosplay costumes to show off, so that'll be really cool, so we hope you tune in, and if you want to stick around. For those of you here, we do have the game playable at a couple different stations. Check out Matt Weather's awesome drawings, and we will have t-shirts,
No pressure,
Mudcrab
Matt.
codes, and mini posters to give away. We'll also be giving away mini posters and Mudcrab codes to those of you online as well throughout the event. So thank you so much for joining us.